We are now learning something many of us worried about and suspected, which is that millions of coronavirus vaccine doses are what the Daily Beast is describing as likely lost in the system of vaccine distribution. Although exactly what that means when you have such malicious players involved as Trump himself, Jared Kushner, and others is a real question. The Biden administration found out very quickly when they took over that there really was no plan for vaccine distribution, despite all of the claims about we've got the best generals and logistics and all of this different stuff. There really was no serious plan turned over to the Biden administration for continued distributions of vaccines. And now it is appearing as though there are millions of doses just missing, and the answer hasn't yet emerged. What we know is that, according to data from the CDC, at the time of the Daily Beast's report on this, 41.4 million doses had been handed out to states, and only 21.8 million had been administered. So that means there's 20 million doses in theory given to states, but not yet administered. Officials say they believe there is a surplus somewhere, but it's not clear how much of a surplus there is, because even though you hear those numbers, well, there must be 20 million doses sitting around. States are saying we're out of vaccines. We don't know where these numbers are coming from, but we don't have vaccines sitting around. We're giving out doses in some cases almost as quickly as they come in. So Biden's coronavirus task force members went back and looked at the numbers again. They looked at local data. They looked at federal data. Here's what federal data says was given to states. Here's what local data says they have. And they looked at, is it a manufacturing problem? Is it a shipping problem? Is it a receiving problem? Is it a waiting around to be administered problem? What's in warehouses? What's in hospitals, for example? They can't figure out what's going on. And every data set that they look at is missing something. And then when they look at a data set from a different source, it sort of overlaps, but it's inconsistent. It's incongruent. And what they've chalked it up to so far are what they are calling, quote, incredible inefficiencies. And I have to tell you that my suspicions, my fears, I think is better said, are that this is significantly worse than that. Were there lies told about availability by the Trump administration? Right. And so what they claimed to have sent to states, they didn't, because there weren't actually the numbers available that they claimed. That would be maybe incompetence and dishonesty, but not criminality. The other fear, of course, is were some of these doses delivered to the federal government and then something was done with them? I'm not saying Jared Kushner is selling doses to who knows where. At least I don't have evidence of that at this point in time. But is there some kind of skimming that has been taking place? At this point, everything is on the table because the numbers just don't make sense. The numbers just don't add up. And right now, Biden administration officials are taking the point of view that based on what they know right now, it seems to be a combination of shipping delays and kinks in reporting. So that here's like the most benign possible example. I'm making these numbers up. Texas gets 10 million doses on paper. Federal government says we gave you 10 million doses. Texas gets them and then sends them right back out to hospitals, and hospitals get the 10 million doses, but it takes them a while to report on the number administered. So a hospital gets 100,000 and they administer 80,000, and they don't yet report that they've administered the 80,000. They just say, listen, we only see 20,000 available doses. The 80,000 that were administered haven't yet been reported as administered. That would be like the most benign explanation. On the other side of it are really, really horrible hypotheses about wrongdoing, malfeasance, falsification of orders, skimming, and all sorts of things that seem very Jared Kushner, if you're familiar with his track record as a landlord in New York City and the New York City area. The other possibility is that they didn't steal anything, but things have been lost or things have been spoiled. and they didn't want to come clean about spoilage. We know anecdotally of stories about a pharmacist in, I don't remember what state, maybe Wisconsin or Michigan, deliberately spoiled some doses because he's some kind of anti-vaxxer and he's been charged. We know about some number of doses that a cleaning, I think it was in Boston, a cleaning person accidentally unplugged one of the freezers that are used and a bunch of vaccines spoiled. And those there are reports of. Maybe there's some bigger spoilage issue or loss issue, and it's not being reported. I don't know. What it increasingly does seem like, though, is that it's not that there are just millions of doses sitting under a table somewhere, and any day now we're going to find them and say, oh, the numbers all add up perfectly. With every day that passes without answers to what's going on, the idea that they're just going to find these becomes less and less likely. So, I'm not saying check the freezers at Mar-a-Lago, but when it comes to the Trump administration and the dishonesty, I wouldn't put anything past them is the point. And hopefully at some point, we're going to get some answers about what happened here. The good news is, and if you watched yesterday's Joe Biden press event with me, you saw Joe Biden say that they are going to be upping vaccine distribution from 8.6 million doses a week to 10 million doses a week. That's going to get us closer, not quite to 1.5 million per day, but in the 1.2 million area. We have the J&J one-dose vaccine that is supposedly just a week or so from presenting data to the CDC, and hopefully we'll get approval there. It is plausible and hopefully increasingly likely that Joe Biden is right in what he said yesterday, that during spring, anyone who wants a vaccine will be able to get one. We're going to follow it. We've been following it, and I'll keep you posted as far as that goes. If you ever feel like you just don't have enough time to read all the books you want to read, you have to check out one of my favorite apps called Blinkist. Blinkist takes thousands of popular nonfiction books and distills each one down into an ebook or audiobook that you can get through in just 15 minutes, where you're getting all the key takeaways from the book. Just imagine how you'll be able to expand your horizons and knowledge by being able to soak up all of the important insights from 10 different books in an afternoon. Obviously, it's perfect for exposing yourself to a new book you otherwise wouldn't have time for, or you can use it to revisit a book you've already read, or use it to preview a book before you buy the full version and read it. I recently read A Brief History of Time, of course, by the great Stephen Hawking. This is a book that I have been aware of for so long, and other things got in the way, and it was fantastic to check it out on Blinkist. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.